Well, hello, fairy friends. I wanted to share with you a special um, keepsake book that I made for my friend Garnet, and she is the beautiful friend that I had who taught me so much about doll making, doll restoring, doll painting, sewing, and even how to cut old-fashioned Victorian silhouettes, which I will show you at the end some examples. She did cut my children's portraits many times over the years, and I hope to make an album of the times that my children got to spend with their adopted grandparents that lived on our street. And sadly, they have passed, but they did live very long and very interesting lives. And I still miss them today, but I am very thankful that I did get to meet them. I mean, not everyone is going to be a doll maker and then buy a house across the street from someone who was a doll maker for many years. So I believe that it was just meant to be. I just know it. I've always loved Victorian things, and she showed me how to do so many different things from the Victorian era. And here we go. Now, I got this on eBay, and I love these board book albums because they just really do remind you of the Victorian era. So here is Garnet, and she is wearing her little name tag that she had for herself, and it has actually a picture of her on it that she cut in silhouette with little glasses. And she did silhouettes in our town for many years, and there are adults now with their grandchildren of their own that remember Garnet, her dolls, and her cutting silhouettes. Now, here is one of her porcelain dolls, and that looks like a sleeping sugar britches. And she always is dressed with matching shoes or coordinating shoes. She had a little sense of style. She didn't always wear old-fashioned things. And then here is another little baby. And I wish that I could find this one. So cute. Those cheeks are so darling. And then, of course, there's a beautiful embroidered trim here. And I also received so much of her trims. And this looks like Kilda. I could be wrong. Get a little bit closer for you guys. And she was not... she loved doing this. I think you can tell in the pictures of her looking at her beautiful babies. She loved doing it. She loved interacting with people and telling them about doll making and what life was like when she was young growing up. But she was a very humble person. She didn't like to brag about herself, and she did a lot of volunteer work at the hospital, and whenever they had auctions, she would make one of her baby dolls and dress it. I mean, it would have everything. It would have its own little layette and just gorgeously done. Heirloom sewing, something to pass along, and she would just donate it to get auctioned, and it would earn a lot of money for the programs for the hospital and some of their outreach. And here is a beautiful darling doll here. And I also got a lot of wigs and doll shoes from Garnet. And there she is, my beautiful friend, just always keeping busy, always chattering and talking, working in her yard. She had a beautiful yard, and she was always weeding, because if if you have a garden, you also have weeds, so that's a big part of gardening. And here is that same doll that we saw over here, so you can see the size of it. And her living room, as she got older, then she would work from her couch and have her sewing machine on the coffee table, and she just had her supplies right there at hand. But she never did stop. She just kept going. And then here's another one. I think she's working on that one. And here's a finished baby. Look at that face. And then there she is. She's in her nightgown or her house coat. The most comfy of work attire, I can tell you, since I work from home myself. And here's that baby again with some of her little sisters in the carriage. Now, this is not the carriage that I received from her. It's got a different handle, but I think her daughter has this fancy one here. And then here's a Shirley Temple, and I think she had restored that for a friend, because I don't remember that one being in her collection. And here is another cutie. Another little sleeping baby. Now, these were the smaller ones, and she always had and I wish I would have gotten to go. By the time that I bought our house across from her and I met her, she wasn't doing the doll shows anymore. She was doing the auctions, however, but those were the bigger dolls. When she did doll shows, she'd always make something small that was a little bit more less expensive, so that she just felt like everyone should be able to come away with something if they saw something that they liked. And she really liked, she would have given that away for free if she saw a little girl that didn't have enough money, or her parents didn't have enough money. And then here you see she would set up, and she has her own handmade sign here. And I think this is one of the stickers that she had on this picture, so it's kind of poking out there. There's all the little dolls. There's Garnet. There's one of her friends in the back, and that's her husband, Kurt. And he was an absolute character. He certainly was. He had played the violin all his life. He worked in life insurance, so he was level-headed and mostly serious, but he also loved to tease and joke in a fun way, not in a mean way. But when he had his tumor removed, he lost the ability to play the violin. He would try, but he never did. He gave the violin to a young lady who they knew that was learning violin, and it was a beautiful violin. She played the violin at his funeral, and it was beautiful. And so she would cut silhouettes. He was the helper, whether he wanted to be or not. And I believe this all started back in the 80s. Now, she loved dolls, like I love dolls. We would be into dolls whether we were making them or not, I think. But she started making dolls when she had to come home to care for Kurt after his surgery and got the tumor removed. So she was a nurse at the hospital where she would volunteer and do the auctions, but she came home and she used her nursing abilities to nurse him back to health. Besides some balance issues, you wouldn't know it. You just wouldn't know that he had had a very large tumor removed. Now here is a little baby Bucky. I imagine this was something that was sold at one of her shows. And right here's a little doll, a thumb-sucking doll. And I apologize for going off on tangents, but going down memory lane again is very fun for me, and I just love to tell about my friends. And here's another beauty, a little close up on her face. And here is another picture of possibly at a doll show, because I think that she's dressed up in one of her pretty blouses. And then here is another little cutie. And I have two of these beauties. They're not quite as big. And she always kept the wrapping around the fingers, because I think she knew that that was the last thing to take off when you were going to set it up for display, because little fingers, porcelain dolls can get their fingers broken off easily. And now she did do the firing. She had the molds, so she would pour the porcelain, she would fire it, and she would do the painting as well. And here is another. This is one of my favorites. She's dressed up in her Christmas blazer there, in her little cameo. You can see these were the tags that she had made that has one of her silhouettes on it. Put that back over there. And then I have this little cutie. She's in my collection, so it's very neat to see. I've got a lot of examples of her work. These are all very pretty. I think these are some that were in her cabinet, because it looks like the mirror back there of the mirrored cabinet. And this is so sweet. This has got the sweetest little Cupid's bow. And here's a little tiny, kind of looks like a little herb baby doll maybe. And here we go. I think I might have already shown this one, but I'm not sure. So I might have put her in here twice, but she's pretty. She deserves to be seen again. Here's another beautiful lady. And I know there's another example in here of that, but that's a close-up. And here is another close-up. And our street just isn't the same without the grandparents. And I have a few of these, several actually, but they're not dressed yet. I have patterns too. She gave me patterns and patterns and patterns and patterns. Oh, so much stuff. Very, very thankful and very blessed. Now here's a composition baby. Now that would have been one that either she purchased for herself or a friend, because she did operate a doll hospital out of her house. And here's another sleeping little cute sugar britches. Another little baby, a little German baby, the little German outfit, folk outfit on. And go over here. Here's another. And here's a little boy. I have an example of him, but he has darker hair. But he does not have this cute of an outfit on. So, and he does have a hat. The strange thing here with this is my example is not this one. But I put the same hat. I crocheted the same type of hat for him. And I put a blue ribbon through it. So, great minds think alike. And that's years ago, and I made mine independently. And then here she is, I think, is she holding a doll? Oh, I don't think this goes all the way back. But here she is, holding a doll. You can't see, but I just liked her smile. I mean, she did that from the moment she woke up to the moment she went to sleep, unless she and Kurt were getting after each other, and they would fuss after each other. or fuss at each other, I should say. And here's another little one, the little ones, and I think that's another example of one that I got that still needs to be dressed. She's wearing a Hilton Head Island shirt. Very cute. She did travel a lot. She went to Europe, and this was back in when she was younger. She went with a group with her church to Japan, even, so she was a well-traveled lady. And here is a little sleeping snuggle. Oh, no, I see the hands. I was going to say, I think that's a snuggle baby, but I see the porcelain hands in the wrapping paper. And look at this pizzazz. Look at, she has a bedazzled sweatshirt. So this might have been going into the 90s, early 90s, when that was very popular. And she loved cats. That was the other thing about Kurt and Garnet were the cat people of our street. They took in several until they couldn't take any more in. They would feed the neighborhood cats, and I think sometimes the cats would tell the other cats, hey, come over here, these people will take care of you. Not only that, they took them to the vet and had them spayed and neutered and got their shots. So she was a busy lady making up all these things so that they had some income, but also so that they could afford to take care of the creatures around. And they did take care of it wasn't just cats, it was dogs and also possum. I have pictures that I'll have to show on a different day of Pinkie Pie, I think, or Pinkie the possum eating some watermelon. Now these are really cute, and I have the little faces, and I have the pattern. She would put the things with it. So in the box is the pattern for these. So these, I have tons of little hands and little doll heads to make those. And then we're at the end. And here's a little chubby faced baby. I think that reminds me of me. And then this one I included because this reminded me of Garnet's daughter. And Garnet's daughter she was the one who made sure that I got all of the things. Kurt and Garnet wanted me to have all of their doll making items. Anything and everything that I could use. Fabrics, trims, laces, ribbons, shoes, everything that goes to this. This reminds me of their daughter Jennifer. Just very pretty and big blue eyes from the pictures that I saw when she was little. So that is the end, and I hope you enjoyed going down memory lane and letting me talk about my beautiful friend Garnet and her husband, also my beautiful friend, who is such an important part of my life and helped me to continue on with my doll making and made me feel like I was capable and could achieve things, and that most importantly, that doll making and dressing the dolls and everything and doll collecting is not for just young people. There has to be someone with that little child at heart inside that can learn all the things that they need to create beautiful playthings for the children today. Anyway, and adults, for the young at heart as well, because obviously I still collect them and I play with them. I love posing my dolls in different scenes and stuff. So thank you guys so much for spending time with me, and I hope you have a magical day. Bye-bye.